Hello, fictional. Welcome to the crossover What Ifs. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got neglected and became Equestrian Maelstrom? Part 1. Huge shout out to Danny Cyber Eclipse for this story. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. On the streets of Konoha. There was a 5-year-old Anthro stallion running away from an angry mob. This stallion had orange coat, sun-blessed blonde hair that was a bit wild and spike, his eye color was blue, he had a pair of wings that were restricted by a seal, and a horn on his head that had a suppressive seal on it. He wore a white shirt, blue pants, and black ninja sandals. On his shirt was a red swirl symbol. The stallion had a lot of bruises and cuts on him. Of course, this stallion was well aware that he was being watched by Anbu, but they did nothing to help. The stallion kept running, wishing for his torture to end, praying that some force out there would give him mercy and spare him. Little did he know that his cries and pleas for help lead him on an adventure that would change the world forever. The beautiful woman was looking down on the stallion before she huffed. She had enough of this torment to the poor stallion. "Shinigami. Get your ass up here, now." The woman shouted. That is when a man appeared, the Shinigami. "What is it, Kami?" Shinigami followed her gaze and sighed. "It's Naruto again. Damn it, I'm starting to regret sparing Minato and Kushina from their deaths. We need to help the poor colt, Shinigami," Kami stated as she looked at Naruto's misfortune. Shinigami nodded. "We have left the boy like this for far too long. It's time we gave him something for all he's been through and sent him to Celestia. We gave Minato and Kushina a chance, but they refused it. They may have sealed the QB's chakra into Mito and Mitsumi, but they sealed the soul of the QB inside Naruto and left him to be tortured. I sense that, in the future, Naruto will prove that he was better than they ever were." The two gods nodded before they began open the portal to Naruto, allowing him to escape and meet with them. Naruto opened his eyes and that is when he noticed that he was in a white limbo. "Where am I?" Naruto asked. Naruto began to feel his freedom fill him. He noticed that his wings were no longer sealed back, allowing him to feel them and actually use them. He also noticed that the suppression seal on his horn was now gone and Naruto felt his magic all over his body. "You are in our realm, Naruto Uzumaki," a soft kind female voice said. Naruto turned and sees Kami and Shinigami there. "We heard your prayer, kid, and we are here to send you to a place you can call home and make friends and maybe some family," Shinigami said as he appeared next to Naruto. "Why?" Naruto asked. Shinigami sighed. "I regretted not killing Minato and Kushina when I should have. And you had to suffer from it, so we are going to give you gifts for what we both did to you. And we actually hope that you will forgive us. To add a bonus to it, we will teleport you to the other side of the planet, where Princess Celestia lives in the Canterlot. We have already informed her about what has happened to you and swore to defend you from harm of your mother and father. We will copy and provide you with scrolls of both the Uzumaki and the Namikaze libraries about jutsu and more." Kami said with a smirk. "You are going to receive training from the Solar Guard, Unicorn Guard, Pegasi Guard, Earth Pony Guard, Night Guard, and the Royal Guard. Once your training is complete, you will go to Ponyville and become captain of Ponyville's guard where the real adventure begins. I will warn you, though. The Equestrian Society and Elemental Society are both almost similar with some differences. And like every Kage, they will try to get their weapon back. We can place a thought on everyone's mind about them forgetting you until a certain event happens. When the event happens, the thought order will disappear and if they ever remember you will be their decision," Shinigami stated before smiling. "Well, we have given you a gift. You now possess a unique Rinnegan for your left eye and you possess a unique EMS in your right eye. The best part is that using those eyes won't drain your magic, but using jutsu from them will drain magic. We have also unlocked all of your hidden bloodlines, which were quite some. You can use the wind, fire, earth, and water releases. You can also perform wood release, since you were part Senju. You also have your own chakra chains. Your water release rivals the second Hokage, and your fire release is only there due to your connection with Kurum." "Kurum?" Naruto asked as he tilted his head in confusion. "Who is she?" "That would be me, Kit," a female voice said behind Naruto. Naruto turned around and sees a beautiful red fox girl who looked like she was only a few years older than him. He sees she had 9 tails, she wore a red shirt, black pants, and had ninja sandals. "My name is Kurum, or what you could call QB," the girl said as she looked down in sadness. "I understand if yo." She was interrupted when she was hugged and looked, seeing it was Naruto. "Why would I blame you?" Naruto asked to her. "You did nothing against me. You're kind, gentle. I know something happened to you to attack the village and if you really didn't care, then you wouldn't have healed me all of those times." Kurum thought about it before smiling and hugged back. "Is there anything else you want us to give to you, Naruto?" Naruto turned to her and nodded. "I wish to be a kitsune. I want to remain a male, but I want to be a 9-tailed kitsune, like Kurum. Don't make me related to her, but the same species as her. And can I be given the ability to use magical wings to have flight? I would love to feel the feeling of flying. Shinigami smirked. Sounds easy. Shinigami aimed a hand at Naruto, and Naruto felt his form change. How is that, Naruto? Naruto saw a mirror appeared in front of him, and he looked like an Anthro nine-tailed fox. His fur was orange, he wore an orange netless shirt, it was enchanted to hide whatever was underneath it and make it appear like it was normal fur underneath the net shirt, wore a green jonin jacket, had a pair of white pants on with a black belt on it, and had a pair of black shinobi sandals. He had blue eyes that had black slits in them, he had fox ears, and had a black streak from his ears to his eyes. He had white bandages that wrapped around his wrists, and he had sharp claws and sharp teeth. I like it, Naruto said, admiring himself before looking at Shinigami and the wings. Channel your yokai into your back, where your wings were once at, Shinigami said. Naruto did and saw a pair of red ethereal fairy wings, picture Spriggan wings from Sao, like Kirito, appear on his back, making him look at their beauty. Naruto undid the wings and looked at them. Thank you, for everything. Kami and Shinigami nodded. Good luck and have a happy life, Naruto. Naruto nodded, and both he and Kurum disappeared in a flash of white. There was a beautiful mare sitting on a golden throne. The mare wore a white dress with a yellow cloth wrapping around her waist. She had ethereal mane and tail, white coat, had a sun symbol her waist. She had a golden crown on her head that had a purple gem on it, wore golden gauntlets on her wrists and golden shoes, had a golden staff, and had a golden necklace that had an equally purple gem on it. She had a horn and a large pair of wings and had pink eyes. It was like a normal day for her. Her royal guard, which were white coat and had golden armor on them, and had either a sword or a spear, and were both stallion and mare. The reason why they looked like this was due to their armor being enchanted to make them all appear like that, were there, doing their duty. That is when they see a white flash enter the room. Celestia and the guards tensed before the flash subsided, and that is when they see Naruto in the center of the room. The guards, seeing Naruto as a threat, charged to attack. Naruto was surprised when he noticed they were moving slow to him. He moved out of the attacks and had a battle face on. Nobody but Celestia saw his eyes and she gasped at the sight of them. Naruto's left eye now was purple that looked like it had a ripple in it. There was a black dot as the pupil, and it had 6 tomos around the central eye. Naruto's right eye was now green with 3 tomos around the central pupil. Celestia remembered those eyes from an old friend of hers. Naruto dodged another attack from the guards, and 2 words appeared in Naruto's head vision. Almighty push. Naruto shouted as he aimed his right hand at the guard. Celestia immediately raised a shield to defend her and her guards. An invisible force hit the shield and immediately destroyed it and pushed the guards back. No damage was done to the environment, meaning this attack was only to disarm and disable the enemy. When the attack ended, the guards were groaning and on the ground, while Celestia was now up. Who are you? Celestia asked to the 9-tailed fox. Naruto turned to look at her, his eyes reverted back to normal. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I was sent here by Kami and Shinigami to save me from the darkness from the Elemental Countries. Celestia was surprised. She had heard of the Elemental Countries and both Kami and Shinigami. She wasn't expecting them to send Naruto to her. Then I welcome you to Equestria, Naruto. Celestia said with a smile. Come, let us discuss what they want you to do. Naruto nods and began to follow Celestia as she leaves the room. It has been 6 years since Naruto's arrival in Canterlot. Naruto was welcomed to the palace due to the fact that Kami and Shinigami sent a letter to Celestia telling her about Naruto's life, and Celestia welcomed him with open arms. Naruto stayed in a palace guest room. True to their word, Naruto had received copied scrolls of both the clans Naruto was born into and some other scrolls involving around other things. Naruto quickly learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu and the Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. And with those, the training was taking less time to master. Of course, Naruto's training was going so well that Naruto was a prodigy. He was trained in the military and was excellent that at the age of 8, he was worthy of the rank first lieutenant. And then, at the age of 10, he was more than worthy for captain of the royal guard. However, he never accepted the proposal. So, Naruto was offered to become the Knight of Equestria, which he accepted with a smile. During his time in Canterlot, he had befriended all the guard groups, especially the royal and knight guards, royalty because he befriended Princess Celestia and showed that he will go at great lengths to protect her and the night guard because he loved the night, saying it was beautiful with the stars and the moon. He also befriended Shining Armor from the Unicorn Guard and eventually became best friends with Twilight. Speaking of her. Flashback, a year and a half before. Princess Celestia was walking in a hallway with Twilight Sparkle, who was very young and very eager. So what are we doing today, Princess? Twilight asked to her mentor. Twilight has been a year into Celestia's tutelage and was learning some great spells. However, her personality was growing into books and no time for friends, thinking of them as distractions. So Celestia had a plan to take care of that problem. Well, Twilight, you have grown into a very skilled prodigy. Celestia said with a motherly smile. Now, I'm going to introduce you to a fellow prodigy and a very close friend of mine. Twilight was confused but agreed, nevertheless. Perhaps this would be a chance to see who was so close friends to her mentor. As the two approached the door, they began to hear some talk behind the door. Celestia opened the door, revealing a bedroom. And in the bedroom, there were 2 ponies and a certain 9-tailed fox. Twilight sees her big brother, Shining Armor, and see her best Fulsator, Cadence, but was confused to not recognizing the fox. The 3 turned to look at both Celestia and Twilight. "Hello, Twily," Shining said with a smile. "Twilight," Cadence said with glee and went over to her. Both Cadence and Twilight crouched down. "Sunshine, sunshine, ladybugs awake. Clap your hooves and do a little shake." The 2 said together, and both laughed when they finished. That is when they heard a chuckle, and Twilight looked at the 9-tailed fox, smiling at the sight with amusement. "So, you must be Twilight Sparkle. I've heard a lot about you from Shiny and Cad, here." The fox said with a fox smile. "Naruto Uzumaki, at your service." Twilight gasped in surprise and shock. She heard all about Naruto from Shining Armor, Cadence, and even had a file about him. Naruto was known as the Kitsune Maelstrom. Twilight didn't believe that he was real at first, but now here he was. Twilight knows of what training he went through and that he was truly a prodigy in the Guard Academy. You're Naruto Uzumaki, as in the very same Naruto that was known as the Kitsune Maelstrom, prodigy in the Guard Academy, and is the very first equestrian citizen that have ever learned from all the guard groups, 2-year champion of the Canterlot Tournament Arena Rumble, and Princess Celestia's personal bodyguard. Twilight stated with awe and wonder. This was the best day ever. Well, the second best day since her cutie mark and becoming Celestia's prodigy was the first. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "I understand the whole Guard Academy and the rubble, but when did you learn the personal bodyguard thing?" "That was an S-class secret, information that only the princesses and I should know of." Twilight smiled sheepishly. "Well, I may have snuck in the file room, but accident and read all the files in there." Everyone blinked before blinking again, and Naruto gave Celestia a fox grin. "Alright. 1. I love this girl right now. 2. I don't want to say this, but I told you so. And 3. I thought you promised me that you were going to hide my file." Celestia smiled sheepishly. "Now sorry Naruto. I guess I forget to lock the file room." Naruto shook his head before looking at Twilight. "Tell me, Sparkly, what do you do aside from studying?" Twilight was thinking before answering. "Besides spending time with Shining, Cadence, and Spike, nothing really." Naruto looked at Celestia. "I see what you mean. Fine, I'll accept, but you will owe me for this, right?" Celestia sighs. "Alright, but just do it, please." Naruto looked at Twilight and gave her a fox smile. "Alright, Sparkly. I'm going to introduce you to 2 friends of mine." "Who?" Twilight asked. "Fun and friendship." Flashback ended. Ever since then, Naruto and Twilight have spent some time together, away from Twilight's studies, much to her dislike. For some time, Naruto had been working on cracking her shell and eventually did, becoming best friends with her. Naruto managed to get Twilight to make some new friends, and soon, she wasn't so focused on study and would focus on friendship and fun. Shining had later became the new captain of the Royal Guard, but still wore his unicorn guard armor to remind him where he was before. Naruto and Shining were best friends and sparring partners. Most of the spars were won by Naruto. Naruto managed to get Shining Armor and Cadence together. Naruto also had the misfortune to meeting Prince Blueblood. Both Blueblood and most of the royal families hate Naruto with a burning passion. There were attempts of assassination, exile, banishment, demotion, strip him of currency, even try to make him a servant to Blueblood. However, all of that was over when Celestia had stripped the royal families of their power in the court. That did very little, and they even tried to kidnap and turn Naruto into a slave and sell him to slavers who would want to have a sex toy. That failed but make the last straw. So, the massacre happened, resulting in the corrupted families to being slaughtered and the royal and holy families to remain. Blueblood was allowed to live, but he was under 24/7 watch, and should he try anything against Equestria or Naruto, Blueblood would be stripped of everything and be executed. Present. Naruto was in the training field, using a Chakram sword that he called Judgment. The sheath and handle was black. Naruto wore the same outfit he wore when he arrived at Canterlot, but he had multiple in every size. Naruto finished another training session when a guard arrived. "Sir Naruto, the princess has requested you," the guard said. Naruto put his sword away and disappeared in a swirl of fire. Celestia was on the throne when she saw a swirl of fire appear in the middle of the room, making the guards on edge. However, the swirl ended and Naruto came out of the flames, making everyone ease. "What is it that you wanted, your highness?" Naruto asked as he approached the throne and kneeled down. Celestia smiled. "Nice entrances, as always." Her expression turned serious. "We have received word that Ponyville's only guard has perished." So we need someone to take the place. I think you suit perfectly since there are dangerous creatures in the forest next to Ponyville, the Everfree Forest. Naruto nods. Alright, I accept. When do I leave? 3 hours from now. Celestia said before Naruto nods and left. 4 hours later. Naruto had said his goodbyes in Canterlot and waited as his carriage to arrive to Ponyville. He felt the carriage land and he got up and got out before thanking the Pegasi guards who brought him here, and they left. Naruto began to notice how peaceful this place looked, making Naruto smile. He looked up before he jumped up, landing on a roof, and looked over the town before see Town Hall, and he jumped from building to building until he landed in front of Town Hall and began to walk right inside. When he got inside, he saw a mare. The mare looked at him before screaming. Naruto rolled his eyes in annoyance, so he knocked her out with a gain jutsu before going inside. When he arrived, he sees Mare about to find out what wrong when she sees Naruto. Naruto pulled out a scroll and showed her it. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Princess Celestia sent me here because you have recently lost your only guard here. Naruto said as he smirked the reasoning on why I was sent here, and everything is on the scroll to have me become the new captain of Ponyville's guard. Mare looked at the scroll and read it before she dropped the scroll in shock. Oh my, she muttered in shock, surprise, and a small trace of awe. She cleared her throat and shook off her shock and surprise. Welcome, Sir Naruto, to Ponyville. Everything seems to be in check here, so I will leave you with whatever you need and wish. I'm pretty sure Ponyville is in good hands, now, with you here. Naruto nods and leaves. Things were definitely going to get interesting. 5 hours later. Naruto sighed as he sat down on his couch. He had made more room in rooms with seals, using every available space. He began using his ninjutsu to make a proper toilet and sinking system without paying taxes on it. Naruto also made all sort of improvements to his home, even made a security system seal and more. However, as Naruto laid down, he began to think about his new job and new life in Ponyville. Naruto began thinking of making better of this place, maybe buy some things to improve it. Just when Naruto was about to head to bed, he felt the security seals activated inside before disappeared in a red flash. Outside. There were 3 mares looking at the new house. One had rainbow hair, mane and tail, had cyan coat and wore black top and shorts and had a pair of Pegasus wings. The second one had long blonde mane and tail, orange coat, she wore a red and white button shirt, a brown jacket, blue pants with a rope on her waist, and wore a hat and was an earth pony. The third one had beautiful purple mane and tail, pure white coat, and wore blue shirt with black business pants, and had a unicorn horn. Are you sure about this, Rainbow? The unicorn asked. This may be new, but we should at least tell Mare about this. The cyan Pegasus girl ignored the comment and was about to proceed to try to sneak into the house when a bunch of vines came out of the ground and grabbed the 3 and began to hold. The orange earth pony and cyan Pegasus girls tried to struggle while the white unicorn was screaming about the vines. Ahem. They heard a male voice said and the 3 looked, seeing Naruto. Care to explain why you are on my property with ill intent? Naruto said with a tired tone. I was about to get some night's sleep and you 3 just had to activate my security system. You mean this is your security system? The white unicorn shouted in surprise and shock. One of many defenses, mind you. Naruto said before he did some hand signs. The group tensed until they saw the vines lower the group down and put them on their feet, and the vines retreated back into the ground and said crack disappeared like it wasn't even there before. Those vines were designed to protect my property from intruders. I have other defenses. Like what? Rainbow dared with a challenge. That is for me to know and for you to find out. Naruto said with a smirk, clearly angering the young Pegasus girl. Rainbow growled at the response and charge, despite the words of her 2 friends. When Rainbow was about to hit the boy, he stopped her first with one finger. Rainbow tried to punch, kick, and wing slap him, but he stopped it all with a single finger like it was nothing. Rainbow was about to attack when she accidentally lost balance, and her fist went past his head, and she and Naruto kissed. Both, including the Earth Pony and Unicorn girls, were shocked at what happened, and both Rainbow and Naruto began to blush red. Rainbow tried to punch the boy, but was stopped when golden chains wrapped around her and lifted her in the air. She tried to struggle, but the chains were firm. Let me go and fight like a stallion instead of using another security defense. Rainbow shouted. The Earth Pony girl said look at him. Rainbow did and was surprised to see the chains coming from his chest. And it didn't ruin his clothes, either. Naruto noticed the confusion and awe in her face. These are a unique set of chains that are part of my being through bloodline. They are fully capable of suppressing magic of all kind, including the strength of earth ponies, nullifying unicorn and or alicorn magic, and even nullify Pegasi wings. Rainbow was shocked to hear that and tried to flap her wings, only to find them paralyzed and unable to move. Naruto kept watching her pitiful struggles to free herself but couldn't. After a solid 5 minutes, she stopped. Are you done now? The mare nodded with a sad look. Oh, don't give me that look. You can still fly, but you can't when my magic chains are holding you. Now, how about the three of you tell me who you are and what is your business here? My name is Rainbow Dash, the Pegasus girl said, looking at Naruto with determination. Fastest flyer in all of Equestria. Naruto looked at her and smirked. Well, that is quite the title, isn't it? Naruto looked at the other two. And you? I'm Applejack Apple, member of the Apple clan. The Earth Pony girl said with a smile. And I'm Rarity, darling. The Unicorn girl said. Naruto nods and put Rainbow Dash next to her friends. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Rainbow instantly gasped in shock. She heard of Naruto before. Wait. You're the Naruto Uzumaki, as in, the same one who won the Canterlot tournament arena Naruto multiple times and without difficulty, and the very same Naruto who has gained the respect of the Griffins, Minotaurs, and many other races, even dragons. Naruto chuckled. I didn't know that I had a fan present here. Had I known, I would have been more prepared to greet you. Very few care about what I have done for Equestria when most of those things were achieved by me. He shook his head in disappointment. They always claim it was their ponies who did it, but there are those who say it was me. What are you doing here in Ponyville? Rainbow asked. I last heard that you were in Canterlot. Naruto nods. Your only guard in Ponyville had died, unfortunately. May Celestia bless his soul. Naruto said with a sad smile before shaking his head and gave a fox smile. So, Celestia sent me. Normally, it would be overkill, but with the presence of the Everfree Forest, she knew that sending me was the best likely idea. Oh, I get then. Rainbow said. Mind telling us, Rainbow? Rarity asked, not understanding. Rainbow looked at them. What he is saying is that because he is a living legend in Equestria, the princess thought he would be the best choice to protect Ponyville in case creatures from the forest tried to attack Ponyville. And Naruto here can deal with them? Applejack asked, a bit of doubt in her mind. Applejack? Naruto is not your average pony. He was trained by all of the Guard Corps, including the famed Royal Guard and the Secret Night Guard. Plus, he has faced against Dragon Lord Torch and won without so much as a scratch on him. And the Dragon Lord can't be beaten by Celestia without her going all out. Rainbow said. Naruto whistled. I never knew you knew so much about me. He looked at the sky. It's almost night time. You should head back home. We can continue introductions tomorrow afternoon when I am finished setting up the new barracks and armory for the Ponyville Guard Corporation. They nodded and left. Naruto went back into the house to get some sleep. The next day, at noon, Naruto was looking at the newly constructed barracks and armory. The barracks was a large building. It had a single entrance. There was the bunks where the soldiers would sleep in case there was ponies or guards that didn't have anywhere to go. There was the armory that was part of the barracks. It was where weapons and lockers were at. The lockers for those who already had their equipment, and the weapons and armors was where newly recruited soldiers would work at. There was also office and some other things, including bathrooms and a training ground. For a layer of defense, Naruto put seals around the barracks and armory. The barrier seal, alert seal, when an attack would occur, and every guard is needed to armor up and ready themselves for a battle, and some other seals. Naruto even added a seal on the target dummies to make them respawn after being destroyed or being cut down or stuff after a few seconds in no combat. Naruto was smiling at his work when he felt Rainbow's magic about to hit him. So Naruto swapped himself with a clone. When Rainbow came and hit the clone, she was smiling with challenge. Got you? Rainbow said, only to see the clone disperse into smoke. Rainbow was surprised before felt herself restrained by chains. The smoke cleared and she sees Naruto coming around the corner. You don't have a crush on me, do you, Dashi? Naruto asked with a smirk, enjoying the blush on Rainbow's face. You do. Who would have thought that the famous Rainbow Danger Dash would have a crush on a fox such as myself? Shut up. Rainbow said in embarrassment. Naruto snickered but let her go from the chains. See you later, then. Bring your friends next time. Naruto turned to leave, leaving behind a very red Rainbow Dash. 7 years later. Naruto was laying down on a beach chair with an umbrella shading him from the sun. Today was the event that Kami and Shinigami told him about. Today was the day Nightmare Moon would return. Of course, Naruto had prepared for this upcoming return. Naruto managed to get 3 recruits into the barracks, but not the kind you would expect. The first recruit was, ironically, Rainbow Dash. She was more Wonderbolt material, and she even admitted that her dream was to become a Wonderbolt, but she wanted to do more than just weather control. She wore blue armor with a cloud on the front of the chest plate, a shoulder plate over her left shoulder with a similar cloud marker. She wore blue wrist gauntlets with the left one having her cutie mark on it. She also had leather covering her lower half and wore a red skirt. She had knee armor plating and had sandals on. Strapped behind her waist, she had 2 twin swords and had a bow with a quiver full of arrows. Her speed, agility, and reaction time was quicker. She could move fast enough to draw an arrow and fire in 3 seconds. Her dual-wielding skills were good, she focused on a speed blitz fighting style by charging head first and get the first few blows before your enemy, picture it like Kirito when he is dual-wielding. The second recruit was Applejack, the reasoning behind it was to protect Sweet Apple Acres and her family after an event where timberwolves came too close to the farmland. She wore a green apron with a dark red dress underneath the green apron. She wore leather wrist gauntlets with black fingerless gloves. She had armor on her hips, the right waist armor plating bearing her own cutie mark. She had knee armor plating and wore boots. On her back was a warhammer that had symbols on apples on it. She muscles have also improved as well as her beauty. The third recruit was, surprising to everyone, Rarity. The reasoning was because that she was almost raped during a Canterlot trip by some thugs, had the night guard not arrived, she may have lost her virginity. So Naruto tried her in the ways of the night guards. She wore skin-tight black outfit that covered her entire body, and she wore some other cloth that was as strong as steel yet as light as a feather. The cloth was dark purple. She wore a dark teal jacket that had her cutie mark on the right front shoulder, a dark purple cape that to her waist, not that very long, wore dark purple cloth on her waist with her cutie mark on the right cloth, and wore dark purple with dark teal outlines with a diamond on the top of the boot and another diamond on the front boots. She carried a rapier on her left side and was taught to use it and carried a sharp teal crystal shard. They also met with some of their friends. Rainbow introduced Naruto to Fluttershy, who was both a caretaker of animals and a druid of the Everfree Forest. Fluttershy wore a green top that covered her arms and chest. To keep it tight, she had some green vines wrapped around those areas and even around her neck. She had an equally green shorts with a light green cloth belt around her waist. She had green knee covers with vines wrapped around there and wore no shoes or sandals. She had long pink hair, a yellow coat, a pair of wings, and nice green eyes that held warmth and kindness. She loved Naruto because he was a nine-tailed fox, and the foxes that stayed with her loved being in Naruto's presence. Fluttershy did say that there were two that were giving her some trouble. There was a crimson fur with white tip fox and an orange fur with black tip fox, and both could fit the palms of his hands. So he took them off her hands and named the crimson fox Kai and the orange fox Shai, which meant blood and death in Naruto's native language, both like their names. But time has passed and they were now the size of large dogs, but were more trained to work alongside Naruto in battle or more, like a certain dog clan. Naruto made a translator seal for both, allowing the two to talk. Turns out that both Kai and Shai were girls, and they seemed to like Naruto a lot, as Naruto treated them more than master and pet, more like friends and partners. Naruto also put a summoning seal on them to call them into the battlefield when they are needed and could reverse summon them if he needs to. Rainbow also introduced Naruto to Pinkamena Diane Pie, or Pinkie Pie. So was a bard for Sugar Cube Corner and was a master party planner. Pinkie wore a brown, light brown, and yellow dress, she had a pink cloth belt around her waist, wore a blue skirt and light blue, almost white, skin-tight cloth pants on, and leather boots. She wore fingerless light brown gloves. She had a light brown guitar to do songs, and it had her cutie mark on it. On her back, she had a shotgun filled with cake batter that would trap and freeze people. She also had her party cannon, which she uses to make parties almost instantly. She was very random, but Naruto loved being around her, especially around pranking people with Rainbow Dash. Applejack introduced him to the Apple family, both her real family and her cousins, aunts, and uncles. Rarity introduced Naruto to Sweetie Belle, and Rainbow introduced Naruto to Scootaloo. Naruto met with the locals, and everyone enjoyed Naruto and welcomed him with open arms. Naruto did send letters to his friends in Canterlot and even visit there sometimes for a day or two before returning to Ponyville. Naruto finally learned how to communicate to Kurum via seal and telepathy. And thanks to Kami and Shinigami, Kurum could leave the seal. She would appear as a female nine-tailed fox. She wore a red shirt, black cargo pants, and ninja sandals. She wore a black bikini and black panties. Her breast size, do note that Naruto was told by Kurum herself, was G. However, a lot did change over the years. 2 years ago, Naruto with Rainbow Dash as well as Applejack began to start dating. The dating lasted for 9 months before Rainbow Dash and Applejack became Naruto's mates with Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy following in on dates. And about 3 months ago, Pinkie joined the herd while Fluttershy was still dating. And about a week ago, Fluttershy joined the herd. But today was special, not for the fact that it was the Summer Sun celebration, but the fact that his best friend and her assistant from Canterlot were coming to oversee the preparations of the Summer Sun celebration in Ponyville. Naruto was relaxing with a pair of sunglasses when he noticed a carriage approaching. Naruto smirked and chuckled before disappearing in a swirl of flames, which didn't affect the chair and the umbrella. Naruto appeared in the shadows of a building. It was time to see how much Twilight and Spike have matured during his time away. When the carriage landed, the door opened, revealing a beautiful girl. She wore dark blue robes with gold color outline with some even darker blue cloth on it with pink outlines. Her cutie mark was on her chest, just above her breasts, and another cutie mark where a cloth was right between her knees. She wore silver armor that covered her arms that reached to the back of her hands with a little that went between her 4 fingers. She had skin-tight white cloth for pants and had brown leather boots. She was holding a wooden staff that had a crystal ball at the end of it that had magical sparks inside it. On her waist was a large bag that had on her right side, and inside was a green book. She had really matured very much, looking very beautiful. This was no doubt Twilight Sparkle that Naruto knew. Then Naruto sees a dragon boy come out of the carriage. He wore a purple hoodie, green shirt, and blue pants. He had purple scales with green spines and green eyes. He wore no shoes. And this must be Spike, he has grown since he was a baby. Thank you, sirs. Twilight said to the Pegasi guards, who nodded and left. Naruto felt a familiar presence approach and looked, seeing Pinkie Pie heading her way to them. Twilight tried to say hello, but gasped and flew away. Twilight and Spike were confused, and that is when they heard chuckling. They looked, see a pair of blue slit eyes looking at them. Who are you? Twilight said as her magic in her right ignited. Is that any way to treat an old friend, Sparkly? Naruto said as he stepped out of the shadows. Naruto had matured as well, he was taller and he had more muscles and more intelligent, and he loved to call people he knows by their nicknames that he had the habit of calling them. Naruto. Twilight said with joy and ran over to her best friend and hugged him. When they finished hugging, Twilight smiled. I got your letters and everything. And I never stopped following the path and way to taunt me. Naruto smiled. So I have heard from Shiny, Catty, and Sunshine. From what I heard, you have matured into a beautiful mare with a passion to show friendship. I even heard you said goodbye to your friends and family before you came here. Spike said, so you're Naruto? Naruto nodded. I heard that you were the one that showed Twilight the true meaning of friendship. I thank you for that. If you hadn't, I hate to wonder what Twilight would have been. Alrighty there then, Spike. Naruto said before he turned. Come now, I'm your guide for the day. Our first destination is Sweet Apple Acres, no? Spike and Twilight nodded. Let's go then. Jackie is, no doubt, working hard with the rest of her family. The two nodded, thought they did wonder who Jackie was. The three began to approach a farm. As the three approached, Spike pulled out a checklist. Summer Sun Celebration Overseer Checklist. Food. Sweet Apple Acres. Be. The three heard and looked, seeing Applejack charge at a tree before punching it, making the tree shake and the apples fall. Applejack smirked at her success. Working hard, Jackie. Applejack heard and turned to look, seeing Naruto. Applejack smiled warmly. Good afternoon, Naruto. I thought you said you were going to meet an old pal of yours. And I did. Naruto said as he moved, revealing Twilight and Spike. Good afternoon, my name is Twilight Sparkle. Twilight greeted before getting interrupted by Applejack, who began to shake her hand and was literally overdoing it. Nice to meet ya, Twilight. I'm Applejack, one of Naruto's mates and helper on the farm. Applejack said before stopping, but Twilight didn't. Spike stopped her hand, snickering. Twilight heard it what Applejack and raised an eyebrow. Excuse me, did you say you were one of Naruto's mates? She means that she is a member of my herd, alongside 3 others. Naruto said before smirking. Though I think you would love to join, wouldn't you? I don't you what you're talking, Abo, Twilight said with a blushing face. Naruto chuckled. Don't try to lie, I've heard all about it from Catty. She has told me how many times you locked yourself in your room during heat season and how you couldn't stop calling my name in pleasure. Twilight blushed even more and looked away in embarrassment. If I ever see Cadence again, I'm going to have a talk with her for eavesdropping on me. Naruto looked at Applejack. Well, I am a bit hungry, think we can get a taste of what the apples are going to make. Applejack smiled. Alrighty then. She went over to the triangle and began to ring its soups on every pony. Immediately, a crowd of ponies began to run towards them. Twilight, using her magic, casted a barrier around her, Spike, and Naruto. When the stampede settled, Twilight lowered the barrier and sat by a table and began to look as Applejack introduced every one of her family, whether it be cousins, aunts, uncles, grandmother, brother, and sister. When all introductions were finished, they began to start brunch. And that is check. Spike said as he checked the food for done. Naruto walked alongside a overstuffed Twilight. Twilight groaned in pain. I think I ate too much pie. Naruto chuckled. Well, I can't blame you. Granny Smith's pie is legendary. It's no apple pie if Granny Smith doesn't make it. Naruto looked at Spike. What's next? Weather. Spike said. Naruto smirked. Dashi. Looks up in the air. If I'm right, and I probably am, she is currently training to increase her speed. I will warn you, though. She is also one of my mates, but unlike the others, she takes a more direct approach. You mean? Twilight was about to say. Naruto nods. Yeah, she does it when we're not in public and out here. She likes to get really close to me, and we normally take any of that back to my home. Jackie isn't direct, but sometimes she does pull me to the side and out of sight. Pink's is almost, if not worst, bad as Rainbow, but Pink's is smart so she does it out of sight or when no one is around. Finally, Flutters is very kind and takes things slow, but there are times when she has her needs. Best part is that she lives close to the Everfree and is just about out of sight from Ponyville, so she can do it at times when she does do it, but most of the time, she minds herself. Twilight nods and when they got far into the clearing, Naruto looks up. Hey Dashi. Get down here, right now. Immediately, Naruto felt Rainbow's presence heading his way. Naruto tried to react but was hit by a rainbow blur. The blur pinned Naruto to the ground while the wind knocked both Twilight and Spike to the ground, Twilight into the mud and Spike a bit away from the mud. Twilight and Spike were dazed but looked and saw Rainbow dash right on top of Naruto, but the two immediately blushed at the sight. Rainbow wore nothing but a pair of black bikini and shorts. Rainbow was kissing Naruto while Rainbow was rubbing her crotch against Naruto's crotch, and Rainbow's tail was wrapped with one of Naruto's 9 tails. When the kiss ended, Naruto was blushing very red alongside Rainbow, who looked like she had no shame in the act. How about we go back to your place and have some fun? Rainbow said heatedly to Naruto, making him shiver. Dashi, we're in front of company. Naruto said as he pointed at Twilight and Spike. Twilight had covered Spike's eyes with magic. Rainbow looked and gasped before she got off of Naruto, still blushing. Naruto gets up and dusted himself clean. Maybe later, Rainbow, but right now, don't you have a job to do? Naruto looked at Twilight and maybe you could. Naruto pointed at the mud on Twilight. Rainbow noticed and giggled sheepishly. Sorry about that, here, let me help you. Rainbow took to the sky and grabbed a random cloud and began to bounce on top of it, making it ran of Twilight. It got rid of the mud, but it made her soaking wet. Rainbow stiffened the urge to laugh. Alright, maybe this will help. My very own Rainbow dry. Rainbow began to circle around Twilight and when she finished and landed next to Naruto, they looked and see Twilight was now dry, but her mane was ruined completely. Naruto and Rainbow tried to stiffen their laughs, but it was too much, making the two fall to the ground, laughing to their death. Spike looked as well and he did the same thing. Twilight groaned in annoyance. You must be Rainbow Dash. Rainbow got up from her name being called. Yeah, that's me. You heard about me? I heard you are supposed to be clearing the sky. Twilight said before sighing. My name is Twilight Sparkle and Princess Celestia sent me to oversee the preparations of the summer sun celebration. Yeah. I'll get it done in a jiffy. Rainbow said as she began to lay down on the very same cloud that rained on Twilight. I'll finish it after I'm done training. Training? Twilight asked for what? Naruto was the first to get up. The Wanderbolts. He said as he pointed at a poster with them there. She has been training to become one of their members. The Wanderbolts? Twilight asked and Rainbow nodded. The best flyers in all of Equestria. Fair warning, Twilight. Naruto said, he knew where this was going. If you really do that, don't try to cause some ruckus or you may end up in a situation that I won't save you in. Naruto left to go on ahead since he knew what was going to happen. Naruto was meditating in front City Hall when he heard the door open and see Twilight and Spike walk to him. Naruto looked at them. Well, let's get inside. I'm sure Lady Rarity is very busy. Naruto said to them. Twilight nodded in agreement while Spike was still snickering at Twilight's hair. Naruto opened the door and they walked in and were immediately greeted with all sorts of decorations, such as ribbons and more. On top of the stairs, Naruto sees the ever-beautiful Rarity. Rarity wore fancy blue shirt and black shorts. She wore fancy shoes and had gem bracelets on her wrists. Decoration, Spike said before noticing Rarity and was immediately caught in her beauty. Beautiful. Indeed, Spike. Twilight said, not yet noticing Rarity in the room. Whoever did this, they know what they are doing. Not the decor, her. Spike said as he pointed at Rarity. Twilight looked and Spike began to check himself out, trying to look proper. Naruto snickered and Twilight approached Rarity. Good afternoon. Sorry darling, I'm in the zone right now. Rarity interrupted, looking through the ribbons to see which one was better. Rarity, it is unladylike to ignore an overseer when they are here to check on your progress. Naruto said with a sigh, making Rarity gasp and turn to him. You say I'm not proper. Well, I now have evidence that you aren't completely proper either. Rarity sighed and finished the ribbon selection. Sorry darling, I'm just so busy. You shouldn't stress yourself so much. Naruto said with a frown. Every fashionist needs a break every now and then. Taking a single break won't kill you. Naruto then had an idea and smirk. Anyway Rarity, meet your overseer. Twilight Sparkle with her assistant, Spike. Pleasure to meet. Rarity turned to Twilight and gasped in shock and surprise at the look of the mane. Whatever happened to you coiffure? Dashi happened. Naruto said with a grin. She was targeting me and was hoping some private time with me, but was interrupted by Twilight and Spike. Rarity, when hearing the word private, made her blush. She knew of Rainbow, Applejack, Fluttershy, and Pinky's relationship to Naruto, as did the rest of town. There were times when the girls, have tried to convince Rarity to join them, but she disagreed, saying that she felt that she wasn't meant for Naruto. Naruto had secretly used his Rinnegan to see who was her soulmate, and he knew who it was, since he met him today. Naruto's gaze fell upon Spike. He knew that Spike was going to mature very soon, but he won't say. That is when Naruto noticed Rarity starting taking Twilight with her back to her workshop, the Carousel Boutique. Probably better if I meet them at Fluttershy. Naruto thought before heading out where he knew Fluttershy was at. Naruto arrived where Fluttershy was and sees her practicing her bird singing. Knowing Rarity, Twilight will be in the boutique for about a half an hour, maybe an hour at most. Naruto arrives and sees Fluttershy was, indeed, practicing with her birds. Naruto silently approached Flutters, the bird saw him but stayed silent. It was due to the fact that all animals at the cottage, including a certain white bunny, were thankful and respected Naruto. Because it was thanks to Naruto that Flutters broke from her fearful and extremely shy nature, especially when Flutters met with a Dragoness who was friends of Naruto's. When Naruto was very close, Naruto wrapped his arms around Fluttershy, giving her a hug. This surprised Fluttershy, but she knew who it was and melted into it. "You always did like it when I hugged you," Naruto said with a smirk. Fluttershy nodded. Later. Naruto was meditating while listening to the birds practice by Fluttershy. Naruto was connected to nature, allowing him to feel the nature around. Not long after the bird began to sing again, Naruto felt Twilight and Spike approaching their position. He opened his eyes, revealing them to be golden with slits. It is similar to the Toad Sage mode, but it is Kitsune Sage mode. Naruto got up and went next to Fluttershy and began to send out a wave of nature energy, which Fluttershy noticed immediately. When the wave hit Twilight and Spike, they didn't notice, but Fluttershy immediately knew that they were there and nodded, knowing Naruto had warned her of the approaching two. Naruto disappeared in a swirl of leaves and reappeared in front of Twilight and Spike, surprising them. "Where have you been?" Twilight asked. Naruto pointed to where Fluttershy was over there, with her. Twilight looked where he was pointing and sees Fluttershy helping the birds with their singing. "Oh, I see," Twilight said. Naruto smiled. She's a druid, very unique for a Pegasus to be a druid. Let alone to communicate with animals. As a sage of the Kitsunes, she and I are able to commune with nature like every other sage. I went to her since she is the last one on the list and help her with her shy nature with others. Try to keep it down, though. Flutters likes it when tones are down and low, easier to communicate. Now go." Twilight nodded and went to communicate with Fluttershy, following Naruto's advice. Naruto was about to pitch in with the social until he sees a pair of pink hands grab him and left a note for Spike. "Care to explain why you dragged me from all the way there to Golden Oaks Library?" Naruto said as he was being dragged by Pinkie Pie of all people. "Because I'm throwing your old friend a surprise party and I can't let her have a party with her old friend," Pinkie said with her smile and knowledge of friendship. Naruto chuckled. This behavior is what made him fall in love with Pinkie. Always about friendship and happiness, and he helps her with that since he is fully well aware of Pinkie Pie's emotional and mental state, and all of that is fragile. "I'm in, but you could have let me leave a clone instead of a parchment about how I was needed elsewhere from Pinkie Pie," Naruto said with a smirk. "Aw, but then that will suck the fun right out of a surprise party," Pinkie Pie said. "You let out too much riddles and clues to what was going to happen and ruin the fun." "You're no fun," Naruto said and stick his tongue at her with a childish behavior before smirking. "Remember this time, no leaving your hot sauce out this time. The last thing I need is a Twilight on fire. And she is very scary when she is on fire and very angry. It remind me of Kushina when she was angry." "You mean your old mother, the one where she didn't love you, despite being in Uzumaki?" Pinkie Pie asked. Naruto nods. "Yeah, that one." Truth be, Naruto never forgave his family and village. That is why Kami and Shinigami used their powers to make Naruto the first Uzumaki family clan in Equestria, and it was separate from the Elemental Countries Uzumaki clan. Kami and Shinigami even gave Naruto a necklace that once belonged to the first Hokage, and it was given to Tsunade Senju. Now, it was given to Naruto as a final apology gift from Kami and Shinigami. Naruto told his friends about his life back at the Elemental Countries, and they felt so sorry for Naruto, and to support his claim, Celestia had even said that Harmony had shown her Naruto's life, and Celestia said that it was all true. But Naruto didn't care for his former family when he had friends here to support him like family. Naruto and Pinkie arrived at the Golden Oaks Library, and Pinkie opened the door, and the room was filled with all sorts for a party. Naruto got up and went to the light, turned it off, and everyone hid. A half an hour later. Everyone in Golden Oaks were waiting until they heard the door open, and everyone sees Twilight and Spike entering. Well, Twilight pushed Spike in while she closed the door on Fluttershy, who followed them. "Rude much?" Spike asked Twilight. Twilight sighed. "Spike, you know it is important that we have to prepare for Nightmare Moon's return. Now, where are the lights?" Naruto flipped the light switch, which caused everyone to come out of their hiding spots. Surprise. Twilight and Spike jumped up in the air in surprise and came back down. Naruto chuckled and sees Pinkie Pie approach them. "Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie." Pinkie Pie said to them, "I threw this welcome to Ponyville party just for you. Were you surprised?" "Yes, very surprised." Twilight said with a deadpan expression, "Libraries are supposed to be quiet. Where is the fun in that, Twilight?" Naruto asked in his corner with a grin, causing Twilight look at him in surprise. "Now come on and join the celebration." Naruto went to go get a cupcake. When he did, he ate it and seized Twilight with hers with uh-oh. "Twilight, don't eat that cupcake." Naruto tried to warn. Too late. Twilight ate the cupcake before her face began to turn red and then her mane and tail burst into flames and went to the punch to cool her mouth. When she finished, she ran upstairs. Naruto turns and sees Spike grab the bottle that Twilight had just used for her cupcake. "Hot sauce?" Spike asked. Pinkie poured some from Spike and ate a cupcake, completely unaffected by the sauce. "What? They're good." Naruto glared at Pinkie. "What did I just warn you about the hot sauce, Pinkie?" Pinkie gulped nervously. "Sorry, Naruto." Naruto sighed and shook his head, a frown on his face. "Just go, an apology to her for leaving your hot sauce out in the open." Pinkie Pie nods and goes up to Twilight. Naruto sighed before joining the party. Later. Naruto was leaning against a wall, hidden in the crowd. Applejack, Fluttershy, and Rainbow were together near the front. Twilight, Spike, and Pinkie Pie were in the middle of the crowd, and Rarity was on the balcony to open the curtains for the princess. Naruto had decided to make himself hidden because he felt something wrong was going to happen. "Fills and gentlicles. I give you, Princess Celestia." Mare had finished her statement to the ponies of Ponyville, and the bird song and Rarity opened the curtains, only to reveal nothing. This made a lot of ponies gasp in shock, and Naruto tensed. He felt it, something was here and it had ill intentions. He put a hand in his pouch, ready to pull out a three-pronged kunai to fight with. Naruto noticed the royal guards had also tensed. They knew something was up and weren't informed about it. The tensed with the guards ended when everyone heard Pinkie gasp, and they see purplish smoke on the platform before it separated, revealing a lunar alicorn with black coat and blue armor and ethereal mane and tail. Twilight, Rarity, and Naruto realized who it was. To Twilight, it was the mare in the moon. To Rarity and Naruto, it was the nightmare parasite princess of the night and second founder of the Night Guard, Princess Nightmare Moon. "Oh, my beloved subjects. It's been so long since I've seen your precious little sun-loving faces," Nightmare Moon said with a smirk. "What did you do to Princess Celestia?" Rainbow demanded but held back, but she did unsealed her scout armor, ready to fight. Applejack did the same and Rarity teleported to her comrades and unsealed her armor like Rainbow and Applejack. Nightmare Moon giggled at this. "Why, am I not royal enough for you? Don't you know who I am?" Pinkie, being the most childish of the group, answered, Ooh, more guessing games. Hokey smokes. How about Queen Mimi?" "No. Black Snooty, Black Snooty." Applejack shut her up by putting an apple in her mouth. Nightmare Moon frowned in disappointment. "Does my crown no longer count now that I have been imprisoned for 1,000 years? Did you not recall the legend? Did you not see the signs?" Nightmare Moon said to all of them. "I have." Everyone turned and see Twilight. "There, you're the mare in the moon." Nightmare Moon. This caused a lot of ponies to gasp while the guards and Naruto tensed. They knew a fight was going to happen. Well, Nightmare Moon said with a chuckle and a smirk, "Someone who remembers me. Then you also know why I'm here." Twilight replied with a nervous tone, "You're here too." Nightmare Moon chuckled at her nervousness. "Remember this day, little ponies, for it was your last. From this moment forth, the night will last forever." Nightmare Moon began to laugh out loud, very evilly, that made everyone besides a certain nine-tailed fox tremble. Nightmare Moon was laughing at her victory before see a three-pronged kunai aimed at her. She dodged it and laughed at the attempt. "You missed." "Did I?" a male voice called behind her. Her eyes widened and turned, seeing Naruto there, and she sees traces of red particles, and that is when it hit her. The kunai wasn't meant to hit her, but it acted like a beacon to allow this fox to teleport right next to her, like teleporting from point A to point B. Clever. Nightmare Moon thought with an impressive look from behind her shocked expression. Naruto punched the moon alicorn and sent her flying backwards. Nightmare managed to stop herself and summoned a sword to her side and entered a fencing fighting style, and Nightmare Moon smirked. However, what happened next shocked her more. Naruto pulled out his sword and entered into the same stance, surprising everyone but Rainbow, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Rarity. "You're a member of the Night Guard," Nightmare Moon said, shocked. Naruto smirked. "I learned from the Guard Academy and trained on all the fighting styles in every guard corps, including the mysterious Night Guard." Naruto's expression changed to respect. "I learned and memorized not just the fighting styles to mastery, but learned of their history." And I knew all about you long before you returned and I have to say this. What? Nightmare Moon asked, unsure. Naruto did a bow, surprising everyone. It is an honor to face the very creator of this fighting style in person and an even greater honor to actually duel you. He returned to his stance with a smirk though, don't think for a second that I let you have an advantage. Remember, I learned all the fighting styles of every guard corps, making me have an advantage to counter against your only fighting style. Nightmare smirked. Alright, give me a show to remember you by. Naruto nodded and the two disappeared in a flash of teal. The two appeared on a platform, high above the sky and just out of sight. The two stand firm before charging. When they were very close, Nightmare swung her sword and Naruto blocked the sword. Nightmare Moon pulled back and took to the skies and summoned multiple swords and fired them at Naruto. Naruto looked at the incoming blades before chains with spikes came from his back and stomach. Magic chains. Shield formation. Naruto shouted as the chains formed into a shield and blocked the attack with ease. Naruto immediately felt Nightmare behind him and was charging fast. Just when Nightmare was about to hit Naruto, more chains came out of his back and charged right at her. Nightmare immediately stopped and flew back as Naruto turned his gaze to her before all the chains returned to his body and he aimed a hand at Nightmare Moon. Universal pull. Naruto shouted. Immediately, Nightmare Moon was being pulled to Naruto's hand against a powerful force. Once she was close, she tried to cut at him only to see Naruto's sword blocking the attack and Nightmare sees she was in front of Naruto and that is when she sees Naruto's Rinnegan left eye. Almighty push. Naruto shouted when she was in front of him. Nightmare felt herself pushed and saw that he had pushed her towards the surface. She crashed into a bunch of trees from the Everfree forest. When Nightmare stopped, she saw that she was scratched and bruised and some of her armor was broken off. She was about to after him when she sees the wood around her beginning to grab and pin her down. Wood style. Deep forest bloom. Naruto shouted as the wood began to cover Nightmare Moon. Naruto was about to sigh until he sees smoke leave the wood and he knew she entered her smoke form to escape the jutsu. Nightmare Moon reformed to her normal form in midair. Nightmare had to admit Naruto was putting up a big fight. She thought this battle was going to be a bit dull, but this far surpassed what she thought of the fox. She grinned and fired a teal laser beam at Naruto, but he dodged and threw a bunch of shuriken at Nightmare Moon. She dodged and was about to attack again, but that is when she heard poof and looked, seeing that 5 of 8 shurikens turned to Naruto's, making Nightmare's eyes widen in fear. The clones landed on the tree and charged at Nightmare Moon. Nightmare summoned forth a giant scythe and cut the clones down, making them poof again. She turned to Naruto, only to see him gone. Where did he go? Nightmare thought, looking around before she put her weapons away. Why fight me? Then suddenly turned to retreat. He's no coward, but it was almost like her eyes widened in realization he distracted me not with clones, but kept my attention away from something. He must have pulled back when he achieved something. But what could he use against me? Nightmare Moons gasped in realization before turning towards a ruined castle in the Everfree forest. The elements. He's after the elements. She began to fly to the castle. You do know it'll be a matter of time before she realizes that you stalled enough time for Twilight and the girls to get to the elements. I know, but by the time she realizes, it'll be too late. Naruto replied to Kurum. He knew well enough of Celestia's plan. He knew Twilight, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, Fluttershy, and Pinkie Pie were the bearers of the elements. However, Naruto had a backup plan should the plan fail. Naruto arrived when the girls made it to the castle entrance. They heard his arrival and looked, seeing Naruto land in front of them. Naruto. The girls shouted and hugged me. Naruto smiled before his face turned serious. I hope you girls have a good reason to be out here. Twilight nodded. Yes, we are going to use the elements of harmony. Will they work? Nightmare Moon was defeated by the elements before, it should work again. Twilight said. Naruto smiled. Well, I guess it is worth a shot. They went inside and both Fluttershy and Rainbow brought the elements down to them. Naruto kept an eye out while the girls, aside from Twilight, left to go outside. When Twilight ignited her horn, she reached a hand out to the elements until a small tornado began to swirl in the middle of the elements, sucking them up. Twilight cried out in shock and jumped into the tornado with Naruto following behind. Naruto groaned and opened his eyes, seeing himself right next to Twilight, and across the room, he sees Nightmare Moon with the stones of the elements. Naruto noticed that around him, everything was shadowy. Twilight, are you alright? Naruto asked, but Twilight didn't respond and was looking around. Naruto, where are you? Twilight asked. I'm in front of you, Sparkly. Naruto said before his hand went right through Twilight's chest. It's useless, she can't hear or see you. He heard Nightmare say. He looked and saw a Nightmare Moon next to another Nightmare Moon. However, the Nightmare Moon on the right, the newly appeared, was looking at Naruto, while the other one was focused on Twilight. Like the environment around us. It's my personal realm, the Shadow Realm. Here, we exist outside the boundaries of the real world. We cannot be seen, heard, or anything in the real world. I was able to go to places in secret and in this realm. Nightmare Moon said with a smirk. However, me and Luna got sealed inside the moon. But for being in there for 1000 years, me and Luna felt the same thing together, and soon, we became part of each other, but we had to split off in halves. Luna had everything a normal pony had, while Nightmare grinned lustfully and snapped her fingers, and black tentacles came from the ground and wrapped around Naruto's legs, arms, and forced him to the ground. Naruto looked up from the ground and immediately blushed from the sight he saw. Nightmare Moon, Moony for Naruto, was no longer wearing armor. She wore a blue bikini and panties with armor boots still on. Now that Naruto looked at her, she was more beautiful than what the stories and pictures shown. And again, Celestia had admitted to Naruto that since they were all acorns and princesses, they couldn't have love relations to other ponies due to mortality, which is actually reasonable. Many wouldn't have love relationships if something like that or other things would bother the relationship. Like what you see, Foxy. Moony said with a lustful grin, enjoying the blushing face of Naruto. You see, all acorns can't have relationships or sex slaves, so they keep their virginity. However, they can get rid of these sexual urges by reincarnating them as other ponies and put them somewhere secret. And I, Nightmare Moon, am Luna's sexual reincarnation. Naruto immediately knew what Moony wanted now. For 1000 years, being stuck on the moon, it had to be very stressful to not get rid of the sexual stress, and Naruto knew that Moony was going to make Naruto her first. Wait, Naruto said, a thought occurring to him. You are Luna's sexual reincarnation, and princesses can't enter sexual relationships, right? Moon nodded. Then where is Celestia's reincarnation? Moon was about to resort before she stopped, thinking about it. Moony's eyes widened in shock. I never took an account of her. Moon truthfully as she began to think about the other possible Tia somewhere in Canterlot. What she didn't notice was that Naruto was trying to stall for time for Twilight and the others to use the elements on Nightmare Moon. He needed to make sure that Moony doesn't try to interfere. After what was 5 minutes, Moony was thinking about the sexual incarnation of Celestia before she smirked. I can deal with her and seal her way inside the moon, like I did with Celestia. Moony said before she noticed Twilight and the girls about to fire the elements. No. She glared at Naruto, and her armor returned. You tricked me. In the real world, the rainbow that was fired from the elements hit Nightmare Moon while she cried out in fear, and she was surrounded by a mini rainbow tornado. Then there was a flash of white, and when it went down, the main 6 were on the ground and they began to get up. They were commenting about their necklaces and Twilight's crown before they see Celestia arriving. Then they see Princess Luna, and she was welcomed to Equestria once more. They were about to leave when Twilight stopped them. Wait. Twilight shouted and began to look around the room. Where is Naruto? Over here. They heard a shout nearby and began to run after where the source was. They arrived what was Luna's old room and sees Naruto was chained in the center of the room, and they see Nightmare Moon on the bed, knocked out. What happened, Naruto, and why is Nightmare Moon on the bed? Celestia said as she unlocked Naruto from the chains. Well, how about you tell me, Tia? Naruto said as he stretched. You never mentioned to me about you princesses could reincarnate your lust and desires into a different persona on pony. You mean? Celestia's eyes were widened at what Nightmare Moon was truly. Naruto nods. Yes, Nightmare Moon is really Princess Luna's reincarnation of sexual desire. That made everyone gasp in shock and surprise at the revelation. The element separated Luna and Moon and brought both of us here. To be honest, she was going to rape me and tried to seduce me to embrace the darkness. But when the elements hit Nightmare Moon, Moon lost her affiliation towards the darkness and has returned to her normal self. Naruto looks at Celestia. Speaking of reincarnations, where is your reincarnation, Tia? Well, Celestia said before sighing. Return to Canterlot with me after the party in Ponyville, I'll explain more there. Naruto nods before adding to no one before you even consider it. I won't enter a relationship without knowing the pony first, Moony. You're no fun, Foxy. Everyone heard Moon reply and looked, seeing her get up. She now had a blue top with black shorts and wore royal shoes with a necklace and crown. And how did you know? I woke up moments ago. I have my ways. Naruto stated before he smirked. Though, I don't mind you visiting every now and then. Moon smiled deviously. Oh, trust me, I will be visiting in more ways than one. Naruto nodded and they all became to walk back to Ponyville. The next day. Naruto was walking through the halls of Canterlot Castle. With him was Celestia, Luna, Moon, Twilight, Rainbow Dash, Applejack, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, and Rarity. Spike wasn't with them due to him being underage for this meeting. After the whole party in Ponyville for Luna's return, Naruto managed to convince Ponyville that Moon was corrupted by an outer source and she was reformed. Though it didn't help that she was flirting with the other ponies and embarrassing them, though in Moon's defense, she was born that way. Being the lunar sexual reincarnation, Naruto bet a lot of stallions are going to enjoy Moony's presence. Anyways, the group made it to what was known as the restriction zone. It was an area in the castle where no one aside from Celestia was able to go to. They went past the sign and made it to a door, and on it was a pink sun symbol on the center of the door. "This is where you keep your sexual reincarnation?" Naruto asked to Celestia, who nodded. Naruto looked at the door and instantly sensed a seal on the room, making it closed so only Celestia can open the door. However, being a seal master, Naruto could break any seal. Naruto put a hand on the handle and muttered release. When he did, the seal was undone and Naruto opened the door. They see a bedroom similar to Celestia's bedroom. The only difference. There was sex toys all over the room, there were all kinds, even a dragon dildo. WTF. Naruto heard from the background, the voice sounded like one of those Team Fortress 2 spy. "Okay, who went to Bad Dragon?" Velvet demanded to everyone in front of the headquarters that were in my Ock village known as Black Haven. "I was on the computer when I read it with Velvet and I spit my root beer out of my mouth when I read it. Good thing it was away from the computer." Everyone pointed at Emerald Wolf, who looked at them with shock before muttering about betrayal. Naruto ignored the spy's voice and began to examine the room all around them. Well, at least she wasn't bored. Naruto said, noticing that the room was surprisingly clean. "Did she have company?" "I visited her from time to time." Celestia said before sighing. "I had to given her these toys for her not to be so stressed with lust and try to break out. I have to clean up after her since Celestia was always tired after every time she went to pleasure herself." "Celestia?" Moon asked in confusion. "She calls herself Celestia." Celestia confirmed to the lunar reincarnation, "It was to keep our names separate. She didn't want to be called Tia or Celestia, so she thought of Celestia." "And let me guess, that is her on the bed then?" Naruto said as they all noticed the sleeping form of Celestia on the bed. "Please tell me you gave her clothes." "I did." Celestia said before sighing in annoyance, "But she doesn't bother to put them on." They heard a moan and looked, seeing Celestia opening her eyes. She got up and noticed us. I could see the resemblance between Celestia and Celestia. Celestia had a pink ethereal mane similar to Celestia mane. Her coat was just as wide as Celestia. Her eyes color was purple and she had a similar long horn like Celestia's. She smirked lustfully and began to get up and remove the blankets off her body, which when she finished, made everyone in the room blush very red at the sight. Well, Celestia was more embarrassed than heated. Celestia had bra-size breasts that looked very soft and squeezable, like pillows. She had a slender body, and everyone could see her entire body, including a certain private spot between the legs. Naruto turned around and began to walk out. "Nope." Naruto said, "I respect privacy to other ponies and their bodies. Come get me when Celestia is fully dressed." Naruto walked out the front door and everyone looked at Celestia, who smiled innocently. Ops. Naruto was on a balcony, looking at the distance. That is when he heard footsteps and he looked, seeing everyone and Celestia, who was fully clothed. She wore similar to Celestia's clothes, with minor differences like the pink sun. "Now, I guess it is time to meet," Naruto said as he bowed to Celestia. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki." "Ah, so you are the famed Naruto I have heard so much about," Celestia said before smirking at Celestia. "I have heard about you from Tia. Whenever she has a dark dirty thought, it is pushed out of her mind and into mine. Though I have only heard all about you, I never knew what you really looked like," Celestia said before looking at Naruto and gave a lustful smile. "Never in my life have I ever heard of a nine-tailed demon fox, such as yourself before." She began to grow a bit too close. "I wonder what it would be like to have sex with such a fine specimen like yourself." "Oh no you don't." Moon and Celestia shouted and pulled her away from Naruto, who looked unaffected by Celestia's act. It was an effect to all but the originals. If a sexual reincarnation were to get too close to their victim, they would try to seduce to gain some fun and probably break their victim's will. However, Naruto is no ordinary species. Naruto was trained to control his sexual urges and act professional, all thanks to his guard training that was drilled into his mind. "Oh come on, just one try." Celestia whined to Celestia, who shook her head at her reincarnation's antics. "I have never seen his kind before, this could be a grand new experience." "You admitted yourself, Tia. There was no challenge, not even dragons, that can be my equal. I could have found one." "It is up to Naruto's decision if he wants to do it or not," Celestia said. "I can come up with a compromise," Naruto said, getting everyone's attention. "I can take Celestia and Moon to my home. I have means of keeping them contained from their urges and properly teach them discipline and help them learn of equestrian society instead of being contained here." "Naruto, you're not the teaching sort," Twilight said with a frown. "You're the carefree sort." That caused a snort of disbelief from Applejack, Rainbow, and Rarity. This action caused Twilight to turn to them and raised an eyebrow. Rarity answered first. "No offense, Twilight, but Naruto is everything but evil. When he says he knows how to discipline, trust me when I say he knows how to discipline," Applejack added before all three shivered. "Oh come on, it wasn't that bad." Naruto pouted. Naruto Rainbow said before something played in her mind. "When we were training under you to be reinforcement guard, your training was beyond the definition of sadistic. It felt more like torture than training. It taught us a valuable lesson. Never get on Naruto's bad side." The three girls said in unison before shivering. Gurum, inside Naruto's head, laughed out loud at this. She knew all about the training and what Naruto was like when training and torturing. It makes interrogators look like amateurs compared to him. "Oh, I think I like the idea now," Molestia said with a lustful smile. Truth be honest, Molestia wanted to get out of the castle since she couldn't go anywhere. And she could get close to Naruto this way. "I will go along with it," Moon added, "though we need new appearances." "Don't worry, we got this," Celestia said, and Luna nodded before their horns ignited and they fired beams at Molestia and Moon, and a flash of light filled the air. When the light dimmed, everyone looked and see Molestia and Moon were no longer so very tall, but they were the same age of Main 6. They looked like the teenager versions of Celestia and Luna, but they were no change in appearance. However, Molestia's bra size was now G and Moon's bra size was F. "Well, time to get going. Learning will begin tomorrow. For now, let's return to Ponyville to rest and prepare," Naruto said, and everyone minus Celestia and Luna began to leave to the train station. A week later. Naruto was on a tree branch, looking down at the large piles of buckets filled with apples. Earlier that day, Naruto was paying a visit to the Apple family when he got wind that Applejack and Big Mac were going to do a bet. The bet was that if Applejack gets the apples done before the afternoon and before Big Mac, then Big Mac would walk with Granny Smith in one of her dresses. If Big Mac finished his load before afternoon and Applejack didn't arrive back before him, Applejack would wear a maiden outfit for all to see for a month, and she would be a maid for Naruto until it ended. Naruto heard the terms of the deal in secret, so he wanted it to be fair. However, Naruto knew Applejack had found a loophole and gave a call for Rainbow Dash, who couldn't come. So she made a call for Twilight and Spike to help her win. Upon learning that Twilight and Spike accepted, Naruto decided to expose the loophole to Big Mac, who was shocked that Applejack would cheat to win. So Naruto helped Big Mac and they finished shortly after 10 AM. All Naruto and Big Mac were waiting for now was Applejack, Twilight, and Spike. They didn't need to wait long as the three came in, and Applejack held a victory smirk before she stopped dead in her tracks when she sees the buckets of apples and Big Mac leaning on the tree. "How?" Applejack asked. "I got a hunch from a very reliable source that you were using a loophole to win. So, that source offered me help and we got it done around 10. Big Mac said with a smirk. "But only one pony helped you," Applejack shouted in shock. "It's almost noon and I just finished 10 minutes ago. How could you get done so fast? Unless Rainbow." "Nah, Dashi was busy and I happened to stumble upon your deal, so I helped Jackie," Naruto called up from the tree, making the girls look at him and see his foxy smirk. "Next time, try to do it fairly. Now, I recall having a maid known as Applejack. Apple serve me if she lost." Applejack blushed very red before she went inside to change. Naruto grinned and looked at Twilight. "Well, I guess she didn't tell you." Twilight nodded alongside Spike. "I guessed as such. AJ would do whatever she could to win a deal, even if it means using a loophole to get out of it. This is why she sucks at making deals. Most of the time she can't win, so she resorts to loopholes. Which is why I'm always around to watch the deals and make if they are playing evenly." "Does she do this often?" Twilight asked Naruto and Big Mac. "Yep," Big Mac answered, and Naruto nods to confirm it before smirking deviously. "And the best part, most of the deals involve me. It's one of the main reasons why Applejack is so close to me in certain terms," Naruto said before sighing with relief. "That's actually how both her and Rainbow became my first mates." He looked at the door. "Here she comes now." True enough, the door opened and when Applejack came out, everyone but Big Mac blushed at the sight. Applejack was now wearing a maid outfit that looked tight on her, especially around the breasts. She wore a black and white maid outfit, but it made her look very sexy. The bra was short, making her to reveal most of her leverage, and the skirt was short, almost revealing her panties unless she bends over. She also wore black and white striped socks and wore a little maid hat. Naruto broke out from his trance and gave a wolf whistle, making Applejack blush more. "What do you want me to do, sir?" Applejack stuttered out, very red in the face. "Head back to my house and can you do some spring cleaning while you're there? As you already know, the vines will help around the house and you," Naruto said while secretly flashing her a devious smirk. Applejack blushed even harder and nodded before heading out to Naruto's home. "So, let's catch up, shall we, Twilight?" Naruto said as he jumped down and landed beside her. "Sure," Twilight said before looking at Spike. "Head back home, Spike. I'll join you later." Spike nodded and left, leaving Twilight and Naruto alone. The two began to make their way to the shop. "I see what your problem is," Naruto said as he and Twilight sat down at a table. They were currently at a restaurant. Twilight ordered a flower and grass sandwich, while Naruto ordered for a fish sandwich. While they were waiting, Twilight informed Naruto about the tickets to the Grand Galloping Gala she received while on the way back from the apple bucking trip with Applejack. And she just gave you one for you and another for someone else. Naruto asked and Twilight nods before Naruto sighed. Tia, I can't believe you did this to your own student. What do you mean? Twilight asked, confused. Naruto looks at Twilight. I've known Celestia for a long time now, you know that. One of her traits is being a troll to people. She's done this to a lot of people before to make them understand something. Tried it on me once, too bad for her that my prankster experience allows me to see through trolls like her. You remember the whole war thing some years ago? You mean the legendary prank and troll war of Canterlot? Naruto nods and Twilight shivered. That war lasted for so long, it was finally over when Cadence and Shining finally ended it by making the agreement that as long as Celestia doesn't troll you anymore, you won't prank Celestia anymore. Peace was pleasant after the war ended. Twilight said with a sigh. Oh come on, it wasn't that bad. Naruto protested. Twilight gave a deadpan look. I still remember when you and your clones fired those cannons on Celestia and me with the ammunition being water balloons. And I still remember those giant water balloons fired from catapults. It was worst when the Guard Corps got involved with the Sun, Unicorn, and Royal Guard supported Celestia, while the Night, Earth, and Pegasi Guard supported you. Naruto sighed at the joy of the memory. Ah, what a glorious war. Neither side won, but it was going to be a historic event that will last for years to come. About the mighty prank troll war of Canterlot in the archives. Celestia and I saw to it that it was recorded for everyone to see and read. Thank Celestia there wasn't another war since. Twilight said to mostly herself. Now, it wasn't that weird. Naruto protested. No, it wasn't. But you talking to that statue was in the garden was your most weird moment. Twilight replied to Naruto. Flashback, some years ago. A few days after the prank troll war had ended. And then I shouted incoming mortars. And me along with a handful of guards managed to escape the water balloon bombardment. That is when I realized that attacking from clearings became a bad idea for the prank troll war. Naruto finished telling a statue. The statue itself was weird. It had lion paw, eagle talon, goat leg, lizard, possibly dragon, leg, deer antler, and another weird horn. It had a beard and it had the body of a pony but different. It also had a displaced tooth. It was in a pose of that looked like singing. While Naruto had told the story to the statue, everyone walking by thought that Naruto was being heard. Oh how wrong they were. You see, there was more to the statue than meets the eye. Using his wood style, he created a tree next to the statue so he could talk to it. On the outstretched hand, one of Naruto's tails remains on it. People thought that it was just not to keep the tails together. Oh how wrong they were. Nobody could hear it, but a male's laughter was heard in Naruto's head. Naruto, my boy. You're really good at those prank wars. Seeing those memories of the entire prank troll war, this totally makes up to why you never visited me. And the images of Celestia's face, priceless. Ha 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 ha. Well, somebody has to cause some form of chaos every now and then. Too bad you're not around anymore. Naruto said with a sad sigh before smiling. If you were, you could have created a realm where we can have our pranks that is close to Equestria, but just outside it. To imagine whole fortresses, with the ammunition being water balloons and the weapons being similar to animal balloons. And to make it all the more sweeter, being on a giant island surrounded by water and the wilderness being forests, plains, hills, and more. A realm made just for prank troll wars. Excellent idea, my boy. The voice said and Naruto could feel the devious smirk on the statue's face. In fact, I think that when the time comes, I can give you your realm as a birthday present. Oh. And I'll even throw in a realm for Christmas season where you can have a snowball war. Oh, what fun. I can't wait for Naruto was about to say until being interrupted. Naruto. Naruto heard a female voice interrupt and he looked, seeing the filly Twilight. Why are you talking to that statue? Ah, Twilight. Naruto said with a smile and to answer, just telling my friend about the prank troll war. Oh. Twilight said before giving Naruto the puppy eyes. Can you play with me? Sure. Naruto got up before he got down and landed in front of the statue. See you later, D. Naruto left the statue alone with Twilight. Oh Naruto, you were the best friend I never had. When the time does come and I get out, I will make up for my past mistakes and hopefully get to stay with you. Maybe I can even get my daughter, Eris, to date you. The male voice added with a sad sigh. Oh come on, I had to tell him about the prank troll war. I'm telling you, I'm not crazy. Naruto told Twilight with a frown. You will meet him someday, I know you will. Yeah, sure, whatever. Twilight said with disbelief. Well, I got to head back home now. Naruto said as he got up. Good luck with the tickets. Naruto got up and disappeared in a red flash. Naruto reappeared in the living room of his home. He noticed that everyone looked very clean and he began to look around the house, not finding Applejack anywhere. He halted in front of the certain door and saw it was slightly open. Naruto smirked. "Oh, you bad girl, AJ. You must have done something bad to make you down there," Naruto muttered. Naruto opened the door, switched on the light switch to turn the light on, and closed the door before locking it with a seal. Naruto began to head down the stairs and soon, he found himself in the dungeon room. He flips up another switch and he sees Moon, Molestia and Applejack chained to the wall with vines watching. The vines withdraw once they see Naruto, and Naruto made a hand sign before they began to wake up. "Where am I?" Moon muttered sleepily. "Welcome to my discipline dungeon," Naruto said as vines came back and put Moon and Molestia on a pair of desks in the room and chained them to the desks. The desks themselves were locked into place in their position, and inhibitor collars were put around Moon and Molestia's neck. "Let's start the lesson, shall we?" Naruto said. "What about me?" Applejack asked Naruto. "Oh yes," Naruto said before making a hand sign and a clone burst to life, "You know what to do." The clone nodded and Naruto grabbed Applejack but put a collar around her neck. "Come now, maiden. You have been a bad girl and you need some discipline." Applejack gulped before she was pulled away to another room. The clone had the vines pull out books and put them on Moon and Molestia's desks. "Now, let's get started," the clone said before smirking deviously. "You will be unable to do anything but read from this book. If you try anything else, you will be spanked and not in the sexual way," the clone warned as he pulled out a wooden pad. "Now get started." "What is going to happen to Applejack?" Molestia asked. "Don't worry, that is not your business. Now start," the clone stated with a grin. The two began to learn how to be disciplined. Naruto was in the Golden Oaks library the next day after the whole Grand Galloping Gala. He was making sure Twilight was okay after the whole ordeal after her friends were following her everywhere. "Are you sure you don't need anything else?" Naruto asked with concern. Twilight sighed. "Yes, I'm okay. Now can you go?" Naruto sighed and was about to leave until they saw a green flash and see Spike coming into the room, carrying a scroll. "Message from Shining Armor. It says it's urgent," Spike shouted as he ran in. Naruto took the scroll, seeing Shining symbol on it before opening it and seeing a few words before he held a serious look. "Twilight, gather the elements. We have a massive problem." "What is it?" Twilight asked as Naruto turned to leave. "Canterlot Castle has been locked down and the princesses are being held hostage inside." That was all that was said as Naruto left and Twilight gasped before she and Spike went to go get the others. "What did the letter say?" Twilight asked while everyone, wearing their battle suits and on the train to Canterlot, which was moving very fast under Naruto's orders, that he was recalled back to Canterlot to do his duty. Naruto pulled out the scroll and opened it to read it. "Dear Naruto. I hate to recall you from Ponyville, but something had happened. The guards from inside the castle said they saw 3 figures appear in the middle of the throne room and one of them snapped their fingers and forced all of the guards from within the castle to teleport outside, then a shield surrounded castle to not allow access to any of us. When we were going to try to get through, a bunch of symbols appeared in a speak I couldn't understand before they altered to words where they are looking for you, Naruto. I have no idea what their intent is for you, but I would recommend you bring your guard with you so we can understand what they want. Sincerely, Shining Armor. P.S. Tell Twilight I said hi." When Naruto finished, everyone were shocked to hear, well some knew their need was to help Naruto in case a fight came. "We're here," Naruto said as the train came to a stop and opened. Naruto and the girls rushed out, ready to fight. "What do you plan to do with Naruto once he gets here?" Princess Celestia asked as she found herself and Luna tied in cyan rope. The 3 figures looked at them before the one who tied them looked at another figure. The figure that tied them wore a dark gray jacket, black shirt, brown pants, and light brown shoes. He had a gray collar on his jacket. The figure's skin was white. His left eye's pupil was cyan with black sclera and he had a scar that went down below his eye. His right eye's pupil was red with black sclera and he had a scar that went up above his eye. He had a smirk on his face. What had shocked them was that the figure looked like an 11 to 12-year-old. The figure that the first one looked at had a fancy black suit with tails, black pants, and white shirt with a black bow tie. He had a black top hat on his head, had a black cane in his left hand, and had black bat wings where his butt was at. He had black and yellow mixed messy hair, and he had tan skin. He wore black gloves as well, and his eyes' pupils were black, while the sclera was yellow. This figure looked 11 to 12-year-old as well. The last figure had tan skin with blue markings all over his skin, his ears were replaced with black metal bead horns, and on top of his head, he wore a red hat. His hair was black with red highlights in them, and it was short spiked. He wore an orange shirt, a black jacket, and black cargo pants. He wore boots with an orange flame design on them. On the center of his shirt was a black fox symbol with 9 tails. And on his back, he had a blue shred alert on his back, and on his right hand, he had a silver gauntlet and it had a pink gem on it. He looked like an 11 to 12-year-old as well, and his eyes were closed. The first figure looked at Celestia. "We apologize, princess, but we need to get to Naruto, so we thought getting you would get his attention to us." "But why?" Luna shouted at them. "That is our business, Lulu," the second figure said, smirking. Before they could say anything, the third figure's ears started beeping red and he opened his eyes. Both of his pupils were insanely small. His right eye was ocean blue, but it had a slit in it, while his left eye was blood red with a slit in it. "He's here," the third figure said as the beeping stopped. "Let's get started, shall we?" the second figure said with a grin. Naruto and the main six began to approach the front door, where it was shielded. They were briefed on the situation and they went to the front door. "I'm here now," Naruto said as he stopped in front of the door. "What do you want with me?" That is when he sees symbols appear in above the door. The symbols said before they reformed into words they understood, "And so you are." Suddenly, they see symbols changed and replaced the last ones the symbols said before they reformed into words again. "Now, come and join us and your princesses." Before they could respond, Naruto and the main six were covered in a cyan glow before it disappeared like they teleported. The princesses see that the first figure was talking towards the direction of the front door of the castle before his light eye flared with power, and suddenly, they see 7 flashes and they see Naruto and the main six appear at the other end of the throne room. They looked confused before seeing the figures and the princesses. "Princess Celestia. Princess Luna," Twilight shouted in shock. Twilight was about to run but was halted by the first figure, who stood in the way. "What do you want?" Naruto asked to them. "We're here to talk to you, Naruto," the first figure replied with a compassed figure. Naruto wouldn't hear of it and grabbed his sword. "I won't talk to terrorists. We were hoping to avoid this, but we'll have to beat it out of him," the second figure said, sighing to him. "I'll deal with him, Harry Cipher," the first figure said with a smirk. "I've been dying to get a proper fight. I told you to call me by my title, Naruto Dreamer." "Harry Cipher," the second figure, shouted in anger. "We get it, Alker the Dreambender," the third figure replied, he had echoing in his voice. Alker sighed in defeat. "Whatever, Naruto Furiku." Naruto Dreamer, the first figure, smirked before he lifted his right hand into the air and suddenly, 7 flashed occurred and 7 floating white hands with a hole in their center appear, each one had a different color. "Let's dance, shall we?" Dreamer asked to Naruto. Theme song Undertale Megalovania remix began to play. Naruto began to form hand sign before he inhaled fire style. Phoenix Fire Jutsu. He launched a volley of fireballs at Dreamer. A hand with a green glow went in front of Dreamer before it created a green shield, protecting him from the attack. So those hands serve a different purpose. Naruto thought to himself as he saw the shield lower. So green creates shields. "My turn," Dreamer said, and suddenly, the hand with the red glow shot forward before it opened up and fired a black beam with a red glow to it. Naruto dodged it with ease and flashed away before appearing behind Dreamer, ready to strike. When he was about to him, Dreamer teleported away with a teal flash and the hand with the green glow suddenly turned red and fired a beam at Naruto. Naruto's quick reflexes allowed him to dodge the up-close attack and he moved away. "What?" Dreamer said to Naruto, and he looked and saw that Dreamer was floating in mid-air with the other hands and the last 2 hands joined him. "Thought I was going to take that attack of yours. So the red one fires beams and he can change the color of his hands." Naruto thought to himself, his reaction time is amazing. He better than I originally thought. I shouldn't underestimate him. Dreamer smirked before he jerked his right arm out and all of the color on the hand center changed to cyan. Then Dreamer aimed his right hand at Naruto and multiple strings of cyan shot from the hands, all aimed to Naruto. Naruto swung his sword at the cyan string, managing to cut them. But he was soon overwhelmed and ended up tied up. Dreamer lifted his left hand up and suddenly, a bunch of shurikens appeared above him and he launched them at Naruto. Naruto acted quickly and flashed away as the shuriken collided with the wall, not damaging it at all. Naruto appeared on the wall behind Dreamer and charged at Dreamer. When he about to hit, a green shield appeared and protected Dreamer. Surprisingly, the wall wasn't called forth by one of Dreamer's hands. Naruto was pushed back and that is when he sees Dreamer turning to look at him before all the hands' glows turned red and they fired a combined beam. Naruto managed to flash away and when he reappeared, he saw a red heart appear on his chest before it turned dark blue, before he felt himself falling down to the ground like gravity was pulling him down. Suddenly, a bunch of bones appeared where Naruto was going to land and he managed to do some hand signs and a wood platform was created, saving him from the impaling fall. Naruto looked at Dreamer before Naruto's Rinnegan and his EMS activated. Dreamer saw this before sighing, then he put his hand on his stomach. "I wanted this to be a simple fight," Dreamer said before he opened his eyes. "If you want like a god, Naruto, then let's serious and fight like gods." Soul restriction seal, release level 0. When Dreamer finished that, a bright white light surrounded Dreamer. When the light shaded away, everyone looked at Dreamer and see that his appearance changed. He now wore a purple robe on him with a symbol of sorts on the center of it, and he had a collar on the top of the robes. He had white sleeves, and his skin was still pale white. However, he had a pair of goat horns from his head now. He opened his eyes, revealing them to being pure white with black sclera, and he had a black line below his eyes, and the scars were gone. Meet my true power, Naruto. Dreamer said before smirking. My god of hyper-death form. In this form, you will learn that even Discord fears me. Theme plays. Undertale Hopes and Dreams Remix. Dreamer held his right hand up and suddenly, a series of red appeared and soon, white with rainbow color beams came down from the ceiling, and Naruto barely dodged the one about to him. All might push. Naruto shouted as Dreamer was pushed by an unrelenting force. Dreamer wasn't pushed far but held his ground. Naruto created 3 clones, and he fired a Phoenix Fire Jutsu, while 2 clones fired Water Shark Bomb, and the last one fired a Air Bullet. Dreamer countered by summoning fireballs that countered the Phoenix Fire Jutsu. He fired a White Star to counter the Air Bullet, and summoned 2 dual blades, and destroyed the Water Shark Bombs. Naruto dismissed his clones and charged. Naruto went attack and both blades collided. Naruto kept flashing in hopes of getting Dreamer, but Dreamer seemed to be able to move faster, and managed to react just in time. Naruto began to go through hand signs, and this time, he began to prep for a Rasen Shuriken to attack Dreamer with. Dreamer held his hands out, and a giant goat skull appeared. Naruto launched the attack, and Dreamer made the skull open its mouth, and a vacuum occurred, making the Rasen Shuriken being sucked up without it exploding. Enough of this, Naruto. Dreamer shouted. Naruto growled and went to attack, launching a great fireball against Dreamer. Before the attack could hit, a green child with a giant white spoon appeared in front of Dreamer before it aimed its spoon forward, and a green shield with a Dreamer symbol appeared, blocking the attack. Kindness. Dreamer said as he saw the spirit. The seed of corruption exists in his mind. He needs to be cured of it. Kindness said as it turned into a ball of flames in Dreamer's palms. Dreamer threw the ball at Naruto and he got hit, making Naruto cry out in pain. However, inside Naruto's mind, a memory appeared in his mind. While this was happening, a purple spirit with a white book in its hands and a dark purple pair of glasses appeared next to Dreamer. Perseverance. Dreamer said before it turned into purple ball and he launched it at Naruto and it hit and another memory appeared in Naruto's mind. Naruto opened his eyes, revealing them to being Nightmare Moon's eyes. Stop it. Naruto shouted in a mixed voice of Naruto and Nightmare Moon, and he launched another Phoenix Flower Jutsu. The attack was countered when a yellow spirit appeared with a dark yellow cowboy hat and a white revolver gun in its hand. It fired a few white bullets to destroy the fireballs. It grabbed its hat and bowed. Justice. Dreamer said and the spirit turned into a ball, and when Naruto appeared above him, ready to cut him down, Dreamer threw the ball at Naruto and it hit his chest, making another memory appear and making Naruto hesitant. Naruto flashed away, and that is when he saw 3 more spirits appear. The first one was a ballerina with white shoes, the second one was a boxer with white boxing gloves, and the third one looked like a knight carrying a white sword. Integrity, bravery, and patience. Dreamer said before launching all 3 at Naruto. Naruto got hit by patience before he flashed away to cut down integrity and bravery. Bravery, however, countered the attack and integrity took her chance and hit Naruto. Bravery charged at Naruto and he flashed away, but bravery followed and hit Naruto. Naruto began to kneel down in pain he was apparently feeling. Dreamer held his hand up and a ball of red appeared in his hand. Determination. Dreamer said before launching it at Naruto. Naruto looked like black ooze was leaking from his eyes and mouth, and when he got hit by determination, Naruto grunted as everyone sees a small piece of Naruto was shattered, and it revealed Naruto's cheek. Let him go, Nightmare Moon. Dreamer said as he changed back to his previous form. No. Naruto whispered out before he looked like he was crying. I don't want to fade away, like how Celestia did to me so long ago. Do you think possession and residing in Naruto's mind going to help you get revenge? Dreamer asked to the possessed Naruto. Celestia saw you as a parasite, but you are much more. Perhaps we can help you. Alker said as he finally spoke after the whole battle ending. What do you mean? Naruto asked to Alker. I'm a dream demon, Miss Nightmare Moon. Alker replied, we make deals that benefit both sides. And here is the deal I'm going to offer you. Alker approached her. Nightmare Moon, I will give you a new body to call your own, and you get to keep your powers and everything. In exchange, however, I want you to free Naruto so we can talk to him and get our business with him done and over with. Alker proposed before holding a hand out to him, and it ignited in a blue flames. Is it a deal? Naruto looked at it before grabbing it and shaking it. Deal. When Alker stopped shaking, he snapped his fingers, and that is when everyone sees blue mist leaving Naruto's mouth and eyes before it formed into the air, and it began to change into a new appearance. Nightmare Moon's physical form was now that of a 18 to 19-year-old mare. She had black fur, purple mane and tail, she was an alicorn, and her eyes were still the same. However, her cutie mark was a blue shield. Nightmare Moon looked at herself. "What did you do to me?" Nightmare Moon shouted in anger. Alker grinned. "That's the thing with dream demons. I proposed you a deal for a physical body, you just didn't think on what form I would give you. And now that both sides of the deal is fulfilled, my work here is done." "Why you little," Nightmare Moon said and was about to attack when she saw Alker waving a finger in front of her. Now. I did this for a purpose. If people see Nightmare Moon, unlike Princess Moon, they will think their tyrant is back." Alker said with a smile, "So I gave you a new look. Welcome to the world, Nyx." Nick said before sighing. "Fine, I will go with it. For now." "That's a good girl." Alker said before turning to a drowsy Naruto. "What happened?" Naruto asked before he sees Hiriku approaching him. "Dreamer and Alker just separated you from Nightmare Moon, or Nyx now." Hiriku said before he held a letter out to Naruto. "Read this." Naruto took the letter and opened it and began to read it. The camera was about to angle to see, but it was pulled by Alker. "Don't even think about it, viewers," Alker said to them. After reading the letter, Naruto had a confused look. "Oh okay, I get it. But who is Emerald Pie?" "He's Pinkie Pie's twin from another dimension," Alker said as Naruto pocketed the letter. "Different behavior, same power." "Well, I'll join this Phantom Consortium and their Eclipse multi-warriors since you saved me," Naruto said to them. "Just next time, don't do this again." "Won't make any promises," Hiriku replied with an insane grin and a demented chuckle. "See you then," Dreamer said before all three of them disappeared in a cyan flash and the cyan rope around the princesses disappeared. Naruto felt a burning sensation on his left arm shoulder, knowing it was the symbol. "Let's never speak of this again," Naruto said to them. "Never speak of what again?" Nyx asked, silently agreeing with it. "Exactly," Naruto answered as everyone nodded in agreement. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.